Lions of the North changed a lot of things in EU4, and the subsequent patch that followed it changed even more things and rebalanced a lot of things. But one thing is for sure, with every single new patch, EU4 has new flavor and new most fun nations to play as. So today that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to go through the most fun and enjoyable countries you can play in Europa Universalis 4. And the first one on our list is of course Lübeck, situated in the northern bit of Germany. Lübeck represents the Hanseatic League as we know it from history, and it did receive an overhaul to its mission tree. It has a completely new mission tree now in the 1.34, 1.35 patches, with some really unique and flavorful missions that really boosted up so much. I'm getting 38 ducats here in 1492 as profit with just 10 provinces, most of which, by the way, are really high development. And the best part of this is that we are actually producing gold in our province of Lübeck. One of these missions, the Develop the Mineral Trade, allows us to get gold in our capital. At the same time, it gave gold to Goslar. There's 3 ways of actually doing this mission, and based on how you do it, you can actually end up with a huge amount of gold provinces, not just one. But the path that I took in my particular playthrough, which by the way, you'll find a link to in the description. In fact, for all the nations in this video, you can find a link to in the description, full playthroughs as them, where I explain in detail how I got what I got and what's the best approach when playing these nations. Trade-wise, Lübeck is indeed the master of the Baltic Sea node, getting an astonishing 73% of the node itself with just a few provinces, not even all of them. In fact, we don't even have Shealand or any of the Danish lands, yet we control most of the trade here. That's just mind-blowing in my opinion, since it makes Lübeck both a playing toll nation as well as a trade nation, and basically a nation with a lot of potential. We also can, via our mission tree, enact the Queen of the Hansa. Every member of our trade league will become a vassal and lose 50% liberty desire, as well as we get the event crowning of a new queen, changing our name and a few other things in the process. So essentially, the more nations you can add to your trade league before you click that button, the more vassals you're gonna get as consequence. For free, no aggressive expansion, nothing. Despite the recent DLC focusing on the Nordic countries, it also affected a lot of other countries via the reforms that we now have and via the rebalances that we've gotten. So one of these nations is of course Florence, most likely the best playing toll nation in the entirety of this game. This positioning is insane, and with a little bit of quick expansion, we managed to get a vassal in Milan, a vassal in Saluzzo, and basically own the entirety of the Italian peninsula plus the islands. Next target in my playthrough here being the Venetians, which have gotten away from me for the time being. But it is 1496 and we pretty much have all of the Italian peninsula with the islands, which is no easy feat in these years. That being said, we do have a little bit of a coalition here, so we're gonna have to deal with them. And if you want to see how we deal with them, you'll find a link to that part of this campaign in the description below, as well as the first part of this campaign. Because Florence is a trade nation, a playing toll nation, but also a pretty decent military power, we went for plutocratic ideas and trade ideas first, meaning that we get 7 merchants from the get-go because of these 2 ideas and mixture between them. And that allows us to filter in most of the trade into our main trade nodes here of the Genoese and the Venetian node. Eventually we'll get 100% in both of these after we consolidate the power, and with that we can get way more money than anybody else around us. We're currently making 42 ducats as profit, and we have 500 development since we also improved some of our provinces a little bit. The Santa Maria del Fiore monument offers advisor cost reduction minus 20% and prestige decay. Now with the mission tree that the Florentines have, which again offers some insane modifiers, like the Medici Bank lowers the interest overall whenever you take loans, and a few other missions here that give permanent modifiers, you will never need to worry about prestige ever again. Look at this, we are getting minus 0.99 a yearly with 99 prestige, and after we fully upgrade the monument in our capital, it's gonna give us 0 on the minus, meaning we will always have 100 prestige without it decaying. Of course, that doesn't include events and so on that happen, but there will be no decay on prestige, which is a huge deal because prestige offers aggressive expansion, impact reduction, improved relations plus 50%, global trade power, morale of armies and navies, and so on. It is a vital modifier to always have up to 100. Not to mention, with the position of the Italian peninsula in the central part of Europe, we have easy access for expansion in the Tunisian and North African areas, which can give us 2 more merchants from making trade companies out of these lands, as well as easy access into Castile, France, and even into the Balkans and the Ottoman lands. My previous playthrough as Florence, I did focus mainly on this area because it was a run where we tried to go for the Roman Empire. At the end of the day, what really makes Florence amazing is its versatility, the Chad map color, and the fact that you don't need to be massive in order to compete with huge empires. Guess you could say that Florence is one of those cases where size does not really matter. Speaking of sizes not mattering, if you want to increase your PP by 20%, all you gotta do is subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get 160,000 subs by the end of the year. It would really mean the world to me if you did subscribe. And hey, that power projection that I'm talking about, right? It would really come in handy for you too. Nothing really says fun in EU4 as a properly lit Lithuania run. And here's the thing, Lithuania did get a huge boost in the recent update. They got their own proper mission tree involving a lot of expansion. You get a union over the Poles early on for almost nothing in return, as well as you get to conquer the Livonian lands, you get to conquer Novgorod as well, and after you've done that, you get a personal union on the Muscovites. Due to its position, Lithuania also can easily crush the hordes, and right here we got Astrakhan as a vassal, so in the next war, that's all of these courts from Astrakhan. Circassia, I think, diplo-vassalized as well, because it's just that freaking easy. And this way we can also cuck over the Ottomans from expanding anymore into the Caucasus. They got cock from the Caucasus. I'm funny, damn it, I'm funny, come on. Some missions also are unique because this year, for example, the Magdeburg laws improves one of our national ideas. So it improves Magdeburg laws from national tax plus 10%, which is good in the early game. I think it gives like production efficiency or something like that, which is great in the mid to late game. So the way that the mission scale is really well timed. Plus, once you form the Commonwealth, it's not the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, it's a special Commonwealth. The Lithuanian Polish Commonwealth. And I kid you not, it is actually different. It has different ideas and a few other things. Plus, Lithuania is one of the few nations that gets a permanent 25 power projection, as well as the ability to get hegemony a lot easier, a lot faster. Remember that in the late game, whenever you are the greatest power, there's no other great power, it's really hard to keep power projection above 50 to get the +1 mana points. Well, with Lithuania, that is never going to be an issue, and that's just one of the things that makes this nation super unique and super fun. Now, of course, there is the other side of Lithuania, which is Poland, another nation that got a significant buff recently and which is insanely fun to play as. The main thing here is after you get the Lithuanian personal union, you can also get all of these lands for yourself directly, which also leads you to the fact that you now can form the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth at Admin Tech 8. That means roughly around 30 years faster than you were able to form the Commonwealth before, simply by going down this path of your mission tree. The great part is that now as Poland, there are branching missions, so you have not only the option of going the classic Lithuanian PU, you can also join the HRE if you don't want to get the union with Lithuania and become the HRE Emperor. But I like to be a little bit aggressive in my games. That's why in this playthrough, we got Bohemia, Hungary, Lithuania as our early personal unions with the help of our new and improved mission tree, the Varna Aftermath, giving unions over both of these nations from the start. And we also have the famous Ducal Prussia as our brand new little Vasalski here. Ducal Prussia, of course, will be our basically attack dog for the early part of this campaign. And yes, I did got Schnappeldup RNG, which meant that I didn't get this province. But hey, I will attack him now and I'll get it. That's not an issue. Same goes here. We got Riga as a vassal. And it's just so much more easy and so much more fun to crush everyone around now with the new mission tree. Plus now we also get an improved national idea set and we get the ability to recruit the winged hussars once we get our 4th national idea unlocked, mix that in with the aristocratic ideas and the cav combat ability and so on, cavalry meta for Poland is back on track, and boy is it insane. It's one of those few Eastern nations that would profit more from going full on cav. In fact, cav is cheaper than infantry as the Poles because of the new rebalance to national ideas and idea groups. Also, with the reform system being revamped as well, Poland definitely shines. We got the Polish elective monarchy at the start, and this gets rebalanced and restructured later on to actually become beneficial for us. Suffice to say that you will never get bored with this nation now, since there's always some random event, some random mission that you can do that makes the game a lot more entertaining. Probably the most anticipated and the most played nation as of now is the Teutonic Order with the recent update, since the Teutons are a unique nation that allow you to either form Prussia super early on. I'm talking about 1454 in 10 years. You can form them, and you got a link to that version of the Teutons in the description below, or you can go full on Crusader Horde and you can conquer the rest of the world as the Teutons, establishing the Mongol Empire as consequence later on. This is my Prussia path save as the Teutons. It's 1468. We've been Prussia for a while now, with all those glorious Prussian ideas and with divine ideas as our first idea set. Now we look at the mission tree, it's a lot different. We actually see what branch has been unlocked now compared to the start, and it does predominantly revolve around two things. As Prussia, you got another two paths you can choose from. Either you expand in a military society Prussia, or you stay as diplomatic Prussia and integrate into the HRE a lot more. We are integrated into the HRE ourselves now in this playthrough, but we are also a little bit more aggressive. We didn't go down the diplomatic path that we could have otherwise. It does present itself with its own benefits and drawbacks. Economically speaking, it's so-so, not amazing. Militarily speaking though, it is absolutely insane, and just being able to take advantage of the Prussian ideas early on is a huge boost. Take note, in order to get the military divine state, we need to wait for a while after the reformation has triggered. So even though you are Prussia down this particular path, you will not be able to get the military reform until you get the reformation to trigger. But hey, on the bright side, it does mean that we can crush everybody here, including Muscovy, Lithuania, and so on, with little to no effort really. Going down the Crusader Horde path that I mentioned earlier leads up to the Mongol Empire, which is super cool because not only are we the Mongol Empire, but we're also still a holy horde. Our primary culture is still Prussian, and we still have the insane mission tree of the Teutonic Order with all of the modifiers that come alongside that, such as the mounted Crusader army that offers movement speed, cav combat ability, army tradition, and so on. It truly is the most unique thing you can do in the game. It's actually a lot easier than people would imagine it is to play down this path, since it's just ridiculously overpowered. This list would not be complete without the nation of Lotharingia. That's right, we went full Burgundian and we became Lotharingia here. Lotharingia is a special nation that can only be formed by enacting the Crown of Lothair mission as Burgundy, or by enacting a decision as Lorraine, if I'm not mistaken, can do it as well. Whenever you do enact that, the previous mission tree of Burgundy enlarges itself, and as such, we now have a significantly bigger mission tree here. And I did mention Lotharingia as the nation on this list instead of Burgundy because I wanted to show you guys the absolutely Chad flag that we have. The map color, which is the best type of puke color, and I just wanted to point out that as this nation you can easily encompass all of the British Isles if you want to, alongside the French and the Dutch areas, and just from trade alone we're getting insane amounts of money. Our economy right now is giving us 83 ducats as profit, whilst we have a significant army. Let's see how many troops we got here. We got 253,000 units, and we have a few vassals around the German lands as well as a potential buffer state, let's call it, between us and Germany. We did dismantle the HRE in our playthrough. This is actually a little bit of an older playthrough. We also have some lands in the Teutonic areas and other parts of the world, even Styria is our vassal and so on. I believe Austria is our vassal too. Yep, that's right. But this is before the Alliance of the North, which is why I'm not able to get the achievements anymore. But it still is Iron Man compatible. Here you go, manpower, it cannot get in Iron Man mode. I really regret sometimes when a patch comes and it kind of disrupts my old playthroughs because I really get super attached to some of them. Like this one in particular, another reason why I'm showing is because I really had a ton of fun in this one, and I strongly encourage you guys to start as Burgundy, work your way towards Lotharingia. It is super enjoyable and a very, very unique playthrough, not comparable to any of the other playthroughs you're gonna have in Europe, especially even with the recent update. Most of the nations so far have been predominantly in Europe, but this nation here is in Africa. I'm talking about Kitara. It is Rwanda at the beginning, and then you form Kitara eventually as you play as Rwanda by conquering all of the interlacustine areas. That also automatically colonizes this strip of land, which allows you to expand into Congo. It allows expansion into the Mutapan areas as well, Mutapa here being our vassal, and as consequence we got a ton of gold mines. Look at that, 4 gold mines in the south, another 1 gold mine in Kilwa that we're gonna get later on, and not to mention Kilwa also has the monument here that gives merchant trade power +4, ship trade power +30%, and prestige eventually. I have to say that in 1.34 patch, this is probably the nation I really enjoyed the most because it's very obscure. Not many people even know you can form this nation in the first place. And reality is I started as Rwanda in Naduga here, but any of the nations here can form it, and it's almost identical to play style. I just started as Rwanda for the memes and to make a lot of bad jokes that I regret most of them now, to be fair, I promise. But the point is that with Kitara, you also not only expand fast and you have a enjoyable, different experience, but you can at the same time defeat the colonial nations once they appear in these lands, or you can yourself colonize all of these lands and take all of these lands before any European power arrives, which prevents them from even setting any foot in the African land altogether. Take note, you are a fetishist nation, so you can take advantage of the fetishist mechanics, getting the best aspects imaginable. The way that you get those aspects is basically by interacting with nations of a different religion. So it kind of encourages you to go out there and explore the world as we know it. I also recommend this nation for newer players because it's an easy to do run and there's no massive conglomerate from the start that you need to worry about. At least nothing that can actually attack you for that matter. So it's your choice when you want to initiate those wars against the big boys. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, all of the countries on this list are from the new DLC that, you know, got a new mission tree and so on, but they do have a lot more flavors, so I have to mention them because they are insanely fun. For example, Riga here, despite the fact that it only has 5 provinces, it has a special new ability. It is a playing toll 1 province minor. Even though it has 5 provinces, reality is that just this 1 province here is what's getting us all of our power. We got 61 development in Riga. We've actually expanded infrastructure 4 times on this province, and we got a lot of unique modifiers like the Cathedral of Riga that gives insane bonuses, the seat of the Rigan Archbishopric, and even the Castle of Riga that gives local fort maintenance -90%, defensiveness +50, force limit +20, and manpower +6,000. That is just ridiculous unto itself, man. And the reality is that all of this was possible because of the new mission tree that they got in the Lions of the North. Develop our city here is what adds most of those modifiers, and a lot of these other missions here, even though it's not a massive mission tree, it is extremely potent. It does have one requirement for this bonus. You need to have less than 6 cities. That means you can have up to 5 maximum cities in Europe. So the proper playthrough would be to take 1 city here and there, say for example take Gotland, take Shealand, take London, and then snake your way all the way across the Pacific, and you can have a massive colonial empire and you'd still get the bonuses in the city of Riga as long as it's below 6 cities in Europe. To put it into perspective, look at this. We're getting 24 ducats profit with 15,000 units in the field as a 5 province minor nation. And I just took these provinces, so really it's just as 1 province. Imagine getting 31 ducats from 1 province. That's just mind-blowing. Check it out. Riga giving 17.54 from taxation, 3.86 from production, and 6 from the Baltic node as well. Speaking of trade-wise, we're getting a massive chunk of trade, even though we are insanely small. And if all my arguments are not enough to make you play as Riga, then check out this sexy sprite over here. I mean, holy mother. Imagine wearing this. Every single girl around the world would be super into you. Now, I'm not saying that you should totally dress up like this and go outside into the world, but if you do, you gotta be ready for that, sir, because you're gonna be smothered with attention. All the girls are gonna be throwing their phone numbers straight at you for sure, inside of a rock. So just pick up the rock and look in. Totally, there's a note inside the rocks. If you're tired of Nordic countries, that's fine, because up next we're talking about Bavaria here. Whether you start as any of the 4 initial Bavarian countries, eventually you'll be able to form Bavaria, and the sooner you form it, the better, because it has a ton of potential. In our playthrough, we dismantled the HRE, but there's also the option of becoming the HRE Emperor. You could do that. However, that's the beauty about Bavaria. That's right, not only is it the land of pretzels and Somalian football players, but it also has a ton of different ways of being played, because Bavaria can be a playing toll nation. Look at the development in these areas. It is the highest development area in Germany. Not only that, it's super cheap to develop these lands. 44 base here, and after we enact the encouraged development, it goes down to 39. This even improves a lot more as you get the actual playing toll ideas, which we do not have right now. The point is that if you want to go toll, you can do that. If you want to go wide, you can also do that, but you would have to dismantle the HRE and basically eat it from within, or alternatively, you can just start munching into the Balkan areas with a straight line through the Austrians. That's an option. The third way is just follow your mission tree here. You get union restoration and claims all around the southern tip of the German area. Plus, you also get permanent claims on the Netherlands area and the Venetian area, a restoration of union over Austria, and a restoration of union on Brandenburg too, to go alongside that Austrian main course. There's a few modifiers until the end of the game also, like the Oktoberfest that gives certain bonuses to Munich, and you even get Diplo Rep until the end of the game and prestige for the entirety of the country. Most people in the game, they start as either Brandenburg, Austria, or any of the popular German nations, but truth be told, it does not get more German than playing Bavaria whilst eating a pretzel and drinking some beer during Oktoberfest. So why not do that next Oktoberfest, right? That's what Oktoberfest's all about. Playing map games inside your house. It's not about going out having fun with people. That's wrong. That's totally not what that is about. They misinterpreted that for sure. Plus, you gotta have friends to go out, so we all know that we play EU4, come on, you know what's going on here. Of course though, the centerpiece of the DLC was Sweden, and that's why we also have Sweden on this list. Sweden got a massive overhaul overall. Right here we have a classic Ludi Sweden, in which we ate all of the Scandinavian lands and a huge chunk of Novgorod as well at the same time by 1477. That being said, Sweden does have insane national ideas still. Infantry combat ability from the start plus 20%, discipline plus 5, goods produced plus 10%, manpower plus 20%, and a lot of other goodies there. But the thing that's amazing now is that they have a proper mission tree. Not only does this mission help them establish themselves as a superpower in the early part with a lot of aid in the independence war against the Danes, but it also offers a ton of permanent modifiers. It offers claims, and the best part is that it expands once you form Scandinavia. And there's 4 Scandinavian missions, right? Because depending on whether you form it as Sweden, Norway, Denmark, it's a different mission tree for Scandinavia. And then there's a 4th one if you form it as anybody else that just culturally converted, if I'm not mistaken. You also have a lot of missions that you can do later down the line, as well as in the mid game, such as the reforms of Vasa, where you gotta have 2 stability, a ruler with 555, and legitimacy 95%. And this triggers the centralization reforms of Gustav Vasa, probably one of the most unique events in the game. I'm not gonna spoil too much. Highly recommend you guys give Sweden a try right now. And the cool part is you can also go colonial at the same time that you're expanding in Europe as the Swedes, and you would not be missing out on anything really, meaning you get a lot of action from warfare in the east and the south. And you also have the chill campaign with the whole clicky button colonial go boom boom. You know what I mean? If you don't know, nobody knows. It's fine, don't feel bad about it. I also want to mention that despite, you know, not adding a lot of other nations in this video, of course, this is my personal favorite nations that I find extremely fun as of right now. This will change in the future, obviously. The more patches come, the more changes to the nations, the more different everything is. And if you enjoy other countries, leave a comment below. Let me know what you enjoy and why you enjoy these countries. I'm curious to know your opinion also. So if you enjoyed this today, check out this amazing strongest nations in EU4 video for the next time. And I want to give a massive thank you to all of my patrons, channel members, and Twitch subscribers. I would not be able to do this without all your support.